This was my league starter in the last league. In the upcoming new league, Affliction, we even got buffed to our early game with the new gem quality. What's up guys, Pidget here. Let's see what things we got on the damage side. Our skill choice is Explosive Trap. You will throw traps and these will explode many times. We got a buff on this side because they removed the enchantment from the game and they put the Explosive Trap Helm enchantment into the gem quality. So our new quality will make our traps cause 2 more smaller explosions, which is pretty good buff. All the explosion can hit the same enemy. This is where our DPS coming from and the numbers of traps. When you look at the path of building, you can set how many explosions hitting the target. I'm set it to average explosions because most of the enemy has a small hitbox. The build can now use 2 curses thanks to the extra curse node on the tree, namely Assassin's Mark. This will increase the critical chance as the critical damage the target take. And flammability, this will lower the enemy fire resistance, and we applying this with one signal button, Arcanist Brand. We can easily generate power and frenzy charges if our enemies is triggering the traps. We also taking Trickster for extra 2 maximum frenzy charge. With this we can have 5 frenzy charge, and we pairing with charge trap support to get our trap throwing speed fast as possible. I have a bad news for those who don't like the Gwen swapping. You need Gem swapping for tougher bosses because we using cluster trap and increase area effect for clear. We also have a big problem, and that's the mana. Our traps is very expensive mana wise, so we need to use mana flash till we get the flat mana cost reduction on our rings and amulet. With Affliction League, we got 3 new Ascendancy. Let's start with the starter friendly first, Warden of the Magi. This is worth to consider because the first node. You can get this pretty early. They said on live stream you can have the first 2 points at Act 2. And you can take out of the Magi. You can get elemental resistance pretty easily because there is a mod plus 50% to all elemental resistance if you have a helmet without gem inside it. I think it could be worth to take till get the resistance capped later. Also worth to think about the boots without socketed gem because you will get 30% increased movement speed as well. The second, when you have better gear, you can switch to Whitewood Primalist. With this we can get extra inventory slots, which is really good for early even at the late game. Also you can socket charms inside your Ascendancy tree, verse like relics from Sanctum League. Of course you will not get insane stuff at the beginning, but after this will be really big. This is depends the mods on the charms and the rarity and how rare will be the good ones. The third one, Warlock of the Mist. I think this is not too good for us, because we already using 2 curses in the build, so it would be hard to fit another curse in our build. Also, the other nodes not too good for us, so I think overall this could be useless most of the time for this build. On the defensive side, using Grace Aura for evasion rating, so we almost can die from the monster's basic attacks or projectiles. Because we using Grace, we can use Ghost Dance Keystone. When we take a hit, we will recover 3% of our evasion rating as energy shield, and we can do this 3 times in a row before the stacks recharge. I want to address something. When you open the POB, you will see we don't have any physical damage reduction in the build, which is not a problem in my opinion, because we have more than 70% chance to evade the enemy attacks and we have enough energy shield and life pool to take bigger hits. Last league I played this version and I completed my Atlas, beat all the endgame bosses without armor on my character. Now we almost can be touched by physical attacks, only danger left for us is the spell damage, but we have a solution for this, using spell suppression from the tree, and we have 84% suppression alone from the tree, so the remaining percent is easy to cap. It's league start, so we can stress or items fancy stuff. Because we choose Trickster, we have access a really interesting node. One step ahead, this will lower the enemy action speed, and if we pairing with Summon Skitter boss, the enemy will move like a snail, giving us enough time to react. Also worth to mention, with Trickster we get a cycling defensive layer. Every 5 seconds we take less damage from hits, and the other 5 seconds we take less damage from damage overtime effects. I did not have any problem with that, because I designed the build the way if you hit damage taken is not up, you can also taunt almost anything, so when you take a hit and the big damage reaction buff is up, you will be just happy about. I did not want to watch the top left of the screen when you can taunt or when not. so I just wanted to let you know you don't have to worry about this. I would like if you hit the like button like the shaper hitting the adder, so it can start spread to more people. Thank you! Because this league start we can't have big items in the first day of the league. That's why we have very basic items in the list here. Only one item worth to mention, and that's the weapon. This is a very solid item for the price. It will carry you till the red maps or even beyond. Also worth to mention our flasks. Because we have to use a mana flask, this is the easiest way to sustain our mana, because Trickster doesn't have access to high life regen like Saboteur, so we can't use the life tap support and reserve all of our mana. There is no easier way to do this. You have to get this mod on the mana flask. Effect is not removed when unreserved mana is filled. With that you will still get mana when your mana bar is filled, and you can just spam your traps without any issues. When you are dealing the bandits quest, you help Alira, because the mana regen and the elemental resistance and the crit multiplier is really valuable in the early leveling, especially at league start. When you have good gear, you can swap to kill all. Pantheons we using for mopping, Soul of Lunaris, for the extra movement speed and a little bit physical damage reduction. The more enemy near you, the more the movement speed and the damage reduction will be, up to 8%. When you doing bigger boss fights, switch the Soul of Lunaris. It gives us a little extra damage reduction and chance to reduce the damage from the aura effects. Minor God, Soul of Garukan, 60% reduced effect of shock on you. I just want to highlight a few things on the passive tree. The tree is building itself, but in the early levels your main goal is to allocate Assassination, Saboteur, Wheel of Blades and Expeditious Munitions. Worth to stop here and take Snowforge node and the master 3% chance for hits to deal 300% of physical damage as extra damage of a random element. I think it's really worth because our traps deal physical damage as well, and a trap exploding many times, so this is a really big damage increase for us. We're taking Trickster as our Ascendancy. In your first lap, take Swift Killer. There is nothing really tell about this, just extra frenzy charges. Second lap, one step ahead. This will increase your action speed, so you will move faster and throw trap faster. You can swap these two if you want, so you can complete the leveling faster. Third lap, Polymath. Sadly from this node we only gain the more damage part. The others does not applying to us because the traps killing the enemies, not we. Last lap, Herstopper. This is our cycling defensive part. Gem and Gemling, starting with our main link. Explosive trap, added fire damage, concentrated effect, Swift Assembly, Charger Traps and Inspiration. When you doing maps, you swapping out the Swift Assembly to Cluster Traps, the Concentrated Effect to increase the Area Effect. For Aura setup in our helmet, summon Skitterbots, Grace, Vitality and Herald of Ash. Cost when damage taken setup, cost when damage taken, increased duration, Immortal Call and Beer Trap. Or move and skill setup in our gloves, Flame Dash, Assassin's Mark, Flammability and Arcanist Brand. We're using a secondary movement skill, Shield Charge and faster attacks. I hope you enjoyed this video about Explosive Trap Trickster League Starter. If you have any question, please let me know in the comment section below. Also, I would like to say thank you to my Patreons for supporting me. Thanks again guys. Thanks for watching, I was Pidget, see you next time.